Hello, welcome or welcome back to the Yarn on Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is a knitting video and it is a sock knitting video and it's part of my 12 cast-ons making vlog series. That's a lot of words, isn't it? So if you're new to the channel, first off, you are most welcome. 12 Cast-Ons is a make-along that I host every year, whereby I cast on 12 new projects to set myself up for my coming weeks, months, years worth of making. And there are some playlists on the channel if you want to hop on over to any of those and find out more. As part of my cast-ons, I pop up an initial vlog which shows what projects I'm starting, and then I make these project vlogs which follow the journey through, so the projects from where I left off on the first day of casting on right through to the end. So this is one of those vlogs, and actually this is a little mini series within my series. It's very confusing. I'm confused. I don't expect you to keep up, but just go with it, hopefully all will become clear. So as I'm recording this, it is the 13th of March, Friday, 2026, I should clarify that. And I am going to be working on 3 pairs of socks. And this is part 2 of my little mini series. So on day 1 of 12 Cast-Ons 2026, I embarked on a little project, whereby I am randomly picking 12 pairs of socks from pattern books that I already own, and I'm hoping to knit these through. And my aim is to try and knit at the pace of about 1 pair of socks a month. So by the end of the year, I'll have 12 pairs of socks done and this project will be finished. So I'm breaking it down and I'm hoping to make one of these vlogs a quarter. I have literally just finished recording the end of part 1 of that video. So hopefully that has been up here on the channel for a few months by the time you see this. And I will try to remember to either link it up above or down below. But it should be part of 12 Cast-Ons 2026 playlist on the channel if I forget to link it. In that first vlog I finished 3 pairs of socks, and this I hope to finish another 3 pairs in this vlog as well. So this little intro is going to be me picking the 3 pairs that I'm going to work on. On day 1 of this project I cast on 6 pairs of socks, and of course I finished 3 in part 1, which left me with 2 pairs of socks. But at the end of part 1 of this little mini series I also cast on 2 new pairs of socks. I'm going to decide today which ones to choose. So on day 1 I cast on a pair of socks from Interpretations volume 8, and this is a pattern by Joji Locatelli, and the pattern is called Under the Tree, and it's a pair of double knit socks with this lovely X and O's cable pattern. And this is how far I got on day 1. I'm using Coop Knits Socks Yeah yarn for this. And here was my progress on the first day of cast-ons. So that is an option. The next pair of socks that I've got left over from day 1 are these. This is the Intersections pattern by Marceline Smith, first published in 52 Weeks of Socks by Lina. I'm trying to grab the book. And this is volume 1, and this is the first pattern in the first book. They've got 2 books out, and I'm using some West Yorkshire spinners, I think, in the cardamom colourway. I'm pretty sure. I think this was already wound up and in my solid sort of sock yarn basket where I keep bits and pieces that I mainly want to use for either colour work or heels, toes and cuffs. So yeah, this was my progress on day 1. As you can see, it's a toe up sock with a lovely cable-y pattern. And then the final pair of socks that I've got left over from day 1 of cast-ons were featured in this charming colourwork socks book by Charlotte Stone, and I am knitting the I'm Batty for Halloween pattern. This is the pattern in the book. And progress for first day of cast-ons. Oops, trying not to lose any stitches. Oh, I've lost one. Let's quickly pop that back on the needle. Push those down a bit. Hopefully it's just one. Yeah. So this was my progress. I think I pretty much did the first pattern repeat, and I'm using a combination of Opal Solid, which is the dark grey, And I have this beautiful sparkly orange yarn that was gifted to me by Anne of the No Excuses Knitting podcast, and the yarn is hand dyed by the Discreet Unicorn. I think I'm actually going to discount these socks because I think it will be nice to maybe knit those in part 3 of this vlog, where we're heading towards sort of autumn and Halloween. So I'm going to set those to one side. And then the 2 pairs that I've most recently cast on are the Magnus socks, which is a pattern by Rachel Coopy from this book, A Knitted Sock Society. The pattern in the book looks like this. And I've done like a fun opposite thing going on. I am using, again, some opal solid yarn in this royal blue kind of colourway. And I'm pairing that with some scraps of my hand spun sock yarn, some leftovers from previous projects. And that was how far I got after my first time working on this. I cast these on the other day while I was watching a film, so I spent about an hour and a half or so working on those. And then the other pair that I cast on in that vlog is also another Charlotte Stone pattern from her other book, Joyful Colourwork Socks. And I started a pair of Home Is Where You Park It socks. Let me try and find those. So these socks feature this fun camper van motif. So that is what they look like in the book. And I am using some Flourish fibres as my background colour, and then I've got all sorts of little scraps and bits and pieces for the colourwork part of this, and that is how far I got on the first day of working on them. Again, I put a movie on and I spent the length of the movie working the cuff and the first colourwork motif. So those are the 5 pairs of socks that I've got. I'm going to discount the Batty socks and pick from the others, so now my brain is kicking into gear and trying to decide what I'm going to do. So in the first part of this vlog, I picked another pair of double knit socks. So I think I'm going to go with the Under the Tree socks by Joji Locatelli in that double knit Keep Knits yarn, because I'm hoping to keep ahead of the game, as it were. And of course, double knit socks should work up relatively quickly. There are obviously cables and stuff going on here, but if I remember rightly, it was fairly straightforward, fairly easy to follow, and I think I worked about an hour and a half on this sock and I got a good way through the foot. Obviously, as I say, these grow quite quickly, so I think it would be quite nice to take these into this project vlog. And then I think the second pair I'm going to go with are the Intersection socks by Marceline Smith. I've been itching to get back to these because it's just such a lovely, fun design. Again, another cabley design. Obviously I'm in the mood for cables, but I love this. I think it's the cardamom colourway. And I'm really intrigued to see how these are going to fit, because a few people actually cast these on around about the same time as part of 12 cast-ons, and I know at least one person has said that they found that the cable pattern has meant that the sock doesn't have the same amount of stretch. So I think they either had to restart them in a bigger size, or they're now making them for someone else. I can't remember the exact scenario. I think it was Jenny. Is that you, Jenny? Yeah, I'm interested to see how well these are going to fit, and because they're toe up, I could probably try them on now, but I think the foot is going to be less of an issue. It's probably going to be more around the leg that I might run into fit issues. So I might have to do some finagling with the stitches and maybe go up to the next size for the leg, but we shall see. This will be a good point to actually try these on. If these don't end up being for me, again, that's absolutely fine. I'm not necessarily aiming to knit myself 12 new pairs of socks. If you watched part 1 of the vlog, then you'll know that actually 2 of the 3 pairs of socks that I knit as part of that vlog have gone into my donation pile. I already have like a ton of socks, so I don't necessarily need all of these for myself, but I would like to keep some of them as a little memento of 12 cast-ons 2026. So that leaves me with the 2 new pairs, which was Magnus and Home Is Where You Park It. And I think I'm going to go with the Home Is Where You Park It socks. Mostly because I think once I get past the colourwork section of this sock, the rest of the sock has got like a ribbed pattern to it, and I think these will be great for cinema knitting. I like to go to the cinema often, and I like to knit while I'm watching a movie, and I think a ribbed sock pattern will be something that I can manage in the dark of the cinema. So that was actually not too bad. I think it was more of a straightforward choice than I thought it might be. So yeah, I'm going to get knitting on these socks, and then at the very end of the vlog I shall pick 2 new pairs to cast on as well. So hopefully by the end of this video we shall have 3 finished pairs of socks to show off and 2 new cast-ons. So yeah, I hope you will join me for the adventure. We'll see where it takes us. I shall obviously share with you where, when, how I progress and knit on these socks.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air, and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Oh, dreamy, breezy we go, easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all.
It's a couple of weeks since I started this vlog. It's now the end of March, the last day in fact, so I thought it might be fun just to check in and see where I am with my socks. I haven't yet touched my Into the Woods socks, is that what they're called? They're patterned by Joji Locatelli, which actually is quite surprising to me because it's the double knit yarn, and I thought that might be the one that I pick up and work on first, just because there's a good chance of it progressing fairly quickly, and for some reason I just haven't been drawn to pick that sock up, but that's fine. I have, as you know, been working a little bit on my Home is Where You Park It socks, and after a trip to the movies the other day I did in fact manage to finish the leg on that sock. It looks very strange with the sort of increase in stitches to make the colourwork motif. It's really made it balloon out, and then of course the ribbed pattern for the rest of the leg really sucks things back in. It sort of looks a bit like a balloon or something at the moment. But yeah, in the movie I went to see Project Hail Mary and I absolutely loved it. I was a bit sceptical because I really enjoyed the book, and the trailer for that movie spoiled quite a few things that I really enjoyed that were revealed sort of slowly through the book, and they were just out there in the trailer before you even went to the movie, so I wasn't quite sure if I was going to enjoy it, but I did really love it. So yes, I finished the ribbed rows for the leg of the sock, and then when I got home that same evening I popped in the heel and I've picked up the gusset stitches, so I'm ready to start decreasing those, and I will be able to do that probably on my next trip to the movies. I really enjoy the patterning on this heel. It's ribbed again, but there's a subtle difference because of the slip stitches between the rib on the leg and the rib in the heel, and there's something that's really quite appealing to me about that. So yeah, a good way through the first sock. Obviously there's still plenty more knitting to go on that one. And then, I don't think I've spoken about this or maybe even showed this on camera, but I did the other day also pick up my Intersections sock, the pattern by Marceline Smith, and I added another couple of pattern repeats. I forgot to put in a marker to share where I was when I picked this up, but I can kind of tell from the bottom of the foot where I was, just where the needle and the cord have been hanging out for a few weeks. I can sort of see where that row was, so that will block out once I wash these socks. But yeah, it was around about here. after the first day. Try and get this, so about here. So I've managed to add another couple of pattern repeats. I need to try this on to see how much more I've got to do before I start to increase for the gusset and heel shenanigans. That's my end of March check-in for these. I think I'll probably end up slowly working away on the Home is Where You Park It socks over the coming weeks, because yeah, they should be reasonably good cinema knitting. And then intersections, I hope to maybe have the first sock at least finished by the end of the month, but that will definitely be a work on at home sock, so we shall see what happens. I've rolled the dice for my April making plans, and I've got a blank prompt which allows me just to work on anything that I'm in the mood for. So I think the intersection socks will fit nicely into that prompt for my April making plans.
Hand in hand, building castles out of sand, reaching for the grand. As willows align, we lose track of time. Head up high, now we climb. Oh, dreamy, breezy, we go.
Well, hello lovely friends. I don't think I've got this at the best angle, but never mind. I haven't checked in for this vlog for quite a number of weeks now. I think the last time I sat in front of the camera was the end of March. It's now the middle of May, and I haven't really made as much progress as I would like on my socks. So I'm checking in now in the hopes that this gets me going again with this project, because having finished the first part of this little series where I'm trying to knit 12 socks ahead of my schedule, like I was trying to knit 12 in the hopes that I get one pair finished each month, and I'd finished my first 3 pairs by the middle of March, so I felt a little bit ahead of the game. But now I am falling slowly behind, because at this point, heading towards the middle of May, I should have another pair and a half finished, and I have not finished any pairs at all in this vlog. So yeah, I need to pick up the pace. There are of course reasons. I can make plenty of excuses if I want to. I guess the main reason why I haven't progressed these, not an excuse, just, you know, there's only so much time in the day, but I've been concentrating on a couple of pairs of socks that I've been working for the 12 Cozy Toes make along that I'm participating in this year. From the lovely Kelly of Roro and Cades. Every 2 months is releasing one of her sock patterns, and I am knitting through those patterns in the hopes of accumulating a pile of socks to donate at the end of the year. So I left the March-April pair right down to the wire. In fact, I kind of missed the deadline. I was like 1 day late, but it doesn't matter, because I'm participating mostly for fun. I mean, I was lucky enough to win a prize at the start of the year, but that's not really why I'm participating. The March-April socks, and I left those, yeah, till the very end of April to finish up. And then the start of this month, I have been trying to work through, I'm making it sound like a chore, it's really not a chore. I've been trying to knit the pair of socks for the May, June round of the make along. Can you tell it's been a week? So that I'm not in the same position, and I'm happy to say I've actually finished that pair of socks in the first 2 weeks of May, so that is now off of my to-do list, which means hopefully for the rest of the month I can get back to working on my socks for this challenge. I have started, since I last checked in, the heel increases, no, the gusset increases, that's the word I'm looking for, on my intersection sock. So I think this one has progressed a reasonable amount since I showed it off last. I think I was back down here somewhere when I shared it before. So I've knit the majority of the foot now, and as I say, I'm on the gusset increases. In fact, I think I'm almost finished the increases. So once I have done the heel turn, I will be able to properly try this on and make sure that I've definitely got it at the right length. Hopefully I have. I am hoping these socks will be for me, but we shall see. We shall see. If they're not, again, that's absolutely fine. I think I've probably reiterated quite a few times in recent months that I am not necessarily in need of new pairs of socks. I'm doing a little series of posts over on my Patreon at the moment where I'm wearing a different pair of my hand knit socks every day. And I'm going to see how many weeks it is before I need to wash my socks. So far, I think we are 7 weeks in and I've still got plenty of socks in my sock drawer. So that gives you a little indication of the state of my sock drawer. Oh, okay. So the other pair that I have been working on, of course, is the Home is Where You Park It socks. And again, I think I need to try this on. I think I've stopped because I need to figure out whether I'm at the point where I need to put the toe in, and I think I must be very close. If I'm not there, I'm only a row or two away, I think. So yeah, I kind of like put this one on pause because I needed to try it on and then figure out where I was. I did momentarily think about taking this away to Wonderwall with me, which happened a couple of weekends ago now. I took a different scrappy sock instead and decided to leave these ones at home. I'm pretty hopeful that once I have the first sock of this finished, I'll fly through the second sock because it's just a really fun knit. The leg and the foot are very easy knitting. I mean, the colourwork's not that tricky either. But yes, I'm just waffling now, aren't I? I hope to have, by the end of the month, so in 2 weeks' time, I hope to have a finished pair of Home is Where You Park It socks, and I hope to be at least starting the second sock of my intersections as well. I have not yet picked up the Under the Tree socks, is it, by Joji Locatelli, the double knit pair. I thought those would be the pair that I worked on first because in theory they should progress relatively quickly because they are double knit, but for some reason I haven't been drawn to work on those. I think maybe I started the 2 4-ply pairs of socks thinking, oh, these will take the longest, and then I just haven't had time to work on the other pair. But I don't think I'm going to distract myself with that other pair until at least one of these are finished. So yeah. It is a Friday afternoon as I am recording this, so we are heading into the weekend, and I hope to work on my Home is Where You Park It sock today. If I can, I'd like to get the first sock finished and the second sock underway, and then tomorrow I can figure out hopefully the fit for the intersection sock, but we'll see how it goes. Best laid plans and all that. I did not get as much knitting time over the weekend as I thought I might, which is absolutely fine. I had a lovely time catching up with my brother and his partner and my niece. I don't get to see them very often, so I really had a lovely day with them. I have, in fact, had a few sort of days where I haven't really done that much knitting at all, but again, that's absolutely fine. Sometimes it's like that, isn't it? Our mojo ebbs and flows when it comes to our creative pursuits. It's now Wednesday the 20th of May, and this morning I have in fact sat down and cast off the first intersection sock, which I'm really happy about. I usually knit the leg of my socks to about 50 rounds before I put in the cuff, but this time I stopped at around about 40 rounds. The cable pattern does make things a little bit tighter. I did, as you might remember, compensate for that slightly by going up a needle size. So usually I knit my socks 64 stitches on a 2.25mm needle. I stuck with the 64 stitches and went up to 2.5mm needle, and I was fully prepared to perhaps go up to a 72 stitch count for the leg, but in the end I didn't really need to do that. The only thing is, it is a real squeeze to get this on over my heel. It does obviously wiggle on, and once it's over my heel it fits lovely, but yeah, it's not a sock that I can easily pull on and off like some of my other socks, just because of that sort of slight less lack of stretch. So yeah, but these will be for me, yay. One thing I do keep noticing is around about where I put in the heel, I don't know how evident it is on the camera, but I think I may have mismarked what row of the chart I was on, because I feel like around about that point there is maybe one row less in the pattern repeat around here, but honestly it's not super noticeable and I didn't want to pull back and try and figure it out. So yeah, and I'm not even 100% convinced that that is the case. It just looks a little bit more squished around that area, the sort of pattern repeat, but like I say, it's not really super noticeable even if that is the case. So I'm happy to be onto the second sock of at least one of my pairs of socks for this round of my sock knitting challenge. I'm at the point now where I'm going to change my needle size. So for this sock I did 2.25mm for the toe and then went up to 2.5. My intention was to go back down to 2.5mm for the heel and also for the cuff, but in the end, because of the sort of tight fit on the leg with those cables, I decided to stick with the 2.5mm needle. But obviously I wanted to replicate what I'd done on the first sock with the second sock. So yeah, I'm at the point now where I need to switch over needles. So I'm going to do that now before I forget. Otherwise there'll be a danger of me putting this down for a day or two and then coming back and forgetting to switch over the needle sizes. So I'm going to do that now. I have figured out, with 10-ish days left in the month, I need to do at least a couple of pattern repeats a day to try to get this finished by the end of May. So that's going to be my little self challenge, and I think that's doable. Each pattern repeat is 8 rows, so 16 rows on a sock is not too bad, and particularly on the foot, before I get to the gusset increases, I'm only patterning across half of the round, so the foot portion goes by pretty quickly. Now that I know what I'm doing, hopefully the second sock will go by really quickly. I always enjoy a second sock. I think I've said this on my vlogs before. With the first sock, particularly a first pattern sock, I'm trying to figure out the fit, I'm trying to figure out length and things. It's slightly different than when you're doing your normal sort of plain vanilla knitting, where you might have your recipe down pat and you know exactly what you're doing. With pattern socks, all sorts of factors might affect the fit. So I'm sort of constantly trying them on and figuring things out along the way. Once the first sock is done, I have my notes for what I've done. That means I can just power through the second sock, which is great. So I think for my day today, now that I know what I'm doing with that, I think I might actually sit and knit one pattern repeat just to get a little bit ahead on this one. And then I think I'm going to switch over to my Home is Where You Park It socks and figure out where I'm at with those. Okay, lovely friends, apologies for the weird lighting. It's one of those days here in South Wales where the sun's out one minute and then it clouds over the next. Yeah, it is what it is. So 1 minute there's reflection on my glasses, the next you can barely see me. But we're going to go with it. For I have recently finished my intersection socks, which is really fun. They are downstairs having a little bit of a soak at the moment. So I am heading towards now, I feel, I've still got 2 pairs of socks to finish, but I feel like we're getting closer to when I get to have my little cast on party at the end of the video, where I get to cast on 2 new pairs of socks. So while I have got a bit of time today, I am going to spin my wheel on my phone. I've got all of my sock books listed on my phone, and I'm going to pull out or pick out the next 2 pairs of socks to cast on at the end of the video. I try to do it a little bit ahead of time because it gives me a chance to, one, pick the projects if there are multiple options, because some of the books have multiple sock projects in, and 2, it gives me the chance to rummage around in my stash, look for some appropriate yarn and get everything wound up so that when the time comes to cast on at the end of the video, I'm all ready to go and there's no excuse for me to procrastinate and not get the video finished. Hopefully that all makes sense. So let's spin the wheel for the first pick. Okay, so that is Pom Pom issue 34. In a lot of the Pom Pom issues, there's only 1 sock project to choose from, although I know there's been a couple where there's 2, so we shall see. I shall pull that one down in a minute. Pom Pom 34, am I going to remember that? Actually, I'll take a quick screenshot just in case. And then I'm going to immediately roll or spin for the second one as well. I was going to wait until I finished at least 1 more pair of socks, but I think while I've got the time now to do it, I'm just going to get it done and then I can start planning in my head the yarns and things. So let's go for spin number 2. Oh, Traditions Revisited. Oh, that's interesting. That is a pattern book by Lina, patterns by Alex Bird, and it's Estonian knitting. So I wonder what sock pattern is in there. Obviously there's something. Right, I'm going to grab those pattern books and we shall come back and check out what my options are. So I have both of the books. I've pulled them out of my pattern shelf, my book shelf, and I've only got 1 pattern in each book to go with, so there's no choice here, which is kind of fun because it stops me from procrastinating. So issue number 34 of Pom Pom was published back in 2020, guest editor Ocean Rose, and it has this amazing sweater on the front by my lovely friend Sylvia Watchcherry. One day I shall knit this amazingness. But the pattern, the sock pattern in here, is by Isabel Ale, A-L-E, and it is called Celestite, and these are the socks as shown in the book. It's quite an interesting one, I think. I don't know how I feel about this, whether these socks will be for me or not, but the socks use 3 colours, I believe. There's a contrast like heels, toes and cuffs, and then there's some textured colour work, so there's knits and pearls in these little sort of colour work motifs. Let me see if I can get a slightly closer up picture. Is there one on there? No, there isn't really. Oh, there is maybe. I don't know how. There we go. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about like knits and pearl stitches, like the pearl stitches on the bottom of my foot. I'm not super sensitive when it comes to things on my feet, but I wonder if I will be able to feel that or not. And also, this is a colour work sock with a short row heel, which don't always fit me the best. So these socks may not end up being for me, but I think they will be a fun knit nonetheless. And they're a toe-up sock, which is also quite interesting. I'm doing a lot more toe-up socks in this selection of randomly picked socks than I usually would. Toe-up is not always my favourite. And then the sock in the Traditions Revisited book, I've not knit anything from this book, so I'm kind of happy that this one popped up. But this is going to be interesting from a fit perspective as well. So these are the Kihnu socks. I'm not entirely sure if I'm saying that right. K-I-H-N-U, and this is the sock as shown in the book. And they've got these like braided pattern details around the cuff, so I think that's going to be interesting from a fit perspective as to whether I can get that to fit my foot or not. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the pattern at the moment to figure out any details. I don't have time for that today, but this is why I want to get these socks sort of picked now, so that in a few days time I can come back, I can properly read through the pattern notes and figure out what yarns I've got in my stash that might work. These are both, I think, going to need some plainer yarns, some semi-solids, which I don't have a huge amount in my sock yarn stash, but I've got a few. So yeah, I think it will be some careful choosing of my colours for both of these. I wonder if for the Celestite socks I could get away with like a variegated yarn for the main colour and then use something that's quite contrasty for the colourwork sections, the colourwork little sort of crystal patterns. I think they're meant to be crystals. I might have a look on Ravelry projects to see if anyone has used different types of yarns for those socks and see what I can come up with before I make my decision. But yeah, it'll be an interesting cast on party at the end of the video, I think. But for now, I am going to switch the camera off and get back to working on my Home is Where You Park It socks and my Under the Tree socks. They both need finishing before I can look forward to a cast on party. Time for a very quick end of the month check-in for this vlog. You'll have to excuse me, I've just jumped out of the shower. I'm heading out to my day job soon, so I'm trying to squeeze in this little bit of recording before I jump in the car and take myself to the office. It's also raining quite nicely outside, so if you hear any rain on the roof or the wind, then you're welcome. I love those sounds, so I hope you do too. Right, Home is Where You Park It socks. Obviously I finished the first sock and I think I've popped in a couple of clips of me working on the second sock. So I was in a bit of a mad rush to try and get this colourwork section finished as I was heading to the cinema, and I think just before the lights went down in the movie theatre I was able to finish the last couple of rows of colourwork, which meant that I could just concentrate on the ribbed part of the leg. And then I had a lovely session sat in my garden where I added the heel flap, and since then I have started working my way down the foot. I think I'm about halfway down the foot, maybe slightly more. Let's try and eyeball that. Probably about halfway. So I think I'll probably take these with me to work today to work on in my lunch break. This lovely yarn from Flourish Fibre, this is in the Good Boy Laddie colourway. This is a very plump, sort of thick 4-ply. I think it probably says on the label, I think there was about 350 or 365 metres in the skein, so probably more verging on towards sport weight. So I'm rapidly getting through this ball, although I mean there's going to be plenty left to finish this sock and a little bit left over too, but not as much as my usual leftovers, which is great for the scrap box. Less leftovers is good, right? And then for the under the tree sock, I picked this up in the week, figured out where I was, and I've added a little bit more to this sock too. I'm in the gusset increases now, so it probably won't be too long before this first sock progresses, and then of course once I've done the first sock I should be able to whiz through the second sock. It's also somewhat amusing to me that a couple of weeks ago, or 10 days ago, whatever my time scale was, I've forgotten now, I thought the Home is Where You Park It socks would be finished and I'd be still working on the intersection socks, but I ended up really getting into that lovely little cable pattern on the intersection socks, and of course those are finished, which I've already mentioned in this vlog, but I'll share all the finished socks at the end. But yeah, I'm very hopeful now that this will only be another day or two on the needles, and then I can really hone in on the double knit socks, which really shouldn't take long at all. Okay, lovely friends, it's the 12th of June and I'm happy to report that I have the first of my under the tree socks. I don't know why I want to keep saying into the woods, but I'm pretty sure it's under the tree. This is not my best work. There are quite a few mistakes in this sock, but first sock is done. I'll talk about the mistakes in a minute. I'm also kicking myself that I haven't done my usual thing whereby I cast off one sock and then immediately cast on the second sock. I was working on this a few evenings ago and I was in the midst of making dinner for myself and James, my partner, and I cast this off just before I needed to go and do dinner shenanigans with the intention of casting on the second sock immediately after we'd finished dinner, and then I got distracted, as I often do, and the second sock is still not on the needles, which is most unusual for me. I do try to block out enough time if I'm finishing one sock to immediately start the second sock, and I'm kind of kicking myself because, as I say, that was a few evenings ago and I probably could have knit the foot in that time if only the sock had been on the needles, but I've been procrastinating because it isn't. But I guess this is just good proof to myself that I really need to cast on that second sock immediately. Anyway, yes, not my best work for a few different reasons. Reason the first is there are a couple of places where the cable, particularly down the side cable here, I've gone wrong. Here, let me cover up my face. On this repeat, I misordered the stitches on my cable, and so although I twisted my stitches in the right direction, I didn't twist enough stitches in the right direction, and as I was working through the sock and I noticed that, I also noticed that I'd done it right back down on the first pattern repeat as well. And I didn't notice that. I did notice the second mistake, but only after I'd knit another few rows, and I wasn't going to drop down and fix it. Although part of me kind of wishes I had now, because it would be nice to potentially give these socks away, although they are orange. I've been knitting quite a few socks for myself recently, so it would have been nice to put these in the giveaway pile, but I think given the mistakes, they're probably going to end up being for me anyway. The other thing that happened that is not my best work is there is a band of like pearl stitches that are either side of these cables, which often happens when you're working cables. It helps the cables to sort of stand out from the rest of the fabric, to pop out. But one in this particular case, one of the purl stitches is on the second needle. I knit my socks on magic loop, and actually this pattern is written across 2 needles, so for folks who magic loop or maybe use 2 pairs of circulars. And I accidentally forgot to purl several rows. I did drop down and try to fix it, but it's very untidy, very untidy. Maybe some of that will block out, but yeah, not my best work for sure. There's also an issue on the foot down here where, again, I think I should have been purling a stitch and completely forgot, because I don't know if you can see this, but there's like a row of knit stitches here, or a column of knit stitches here, where there should be purls. Is what I think to that. So yeah, not my best work, but I do like these socks. They are nice and squishy. The other thing that I potentially should have, could have, would have done is, because these are double knit socks, and I know that my knitting gauge, or my knitting tension, is often looser than the average pattern calls for. I mean, I shouldn't say average pattern, because different designers knit at different tensions, but often for sock knitting in particular, a lot of patterns will suggest a 2.5mm needle, and I have to go down to 2.25 to get a nice tight fabric. And I didn't really factor that in when I was knitting these double knit socks, and I knit them at the needle size recommended, which I think might be a 3.25, although don't quote me on that, I haven't got the pattern in front of me. And although I'm quite happy with the fabric that has given, I'm wondering, in terms of wear and longevity for these socks, whether I maybe should have taken that same approach and gone down a needle size. I mean, should I have swatched? Maybe. If you've been hanging around here for any length of time now, you know that me and swatching are not always great friends. So yeah, they fit. That is the main thing. And yeah, and probably another pair that I'm going to be keeping for myself, unless, and no, I'm not going to say unless, there are too many mistakes on these, I think. I mean, they're going to be a functional, warm pair of socks in this lovely squishy double knit yarn from Coop Knits. But yeah, I think I would be too embarrassed to give these away, because there are one too many mistakes. Anyway, I am hoping to get the second sock on the needle later today. It's a Friday as I'm recording this, so I've got the weekend stretching out ahead of me, which yay! I would really like to get this sock on and off the needles in the next week, and I think that is doable because it does knit up pretty quickly, and because it's a second sock and I know how many pattern repeats I'm aiming for, the second sock tends to go even quicker for me than the first sock. I would dearly love to finish this sock this week, and then I can do my little cast on party next weekend and get this video wrapped up like a week or so ahead of the end of June, which will be great. I do have a couple of weeks to play with if I want to try and keep up with my goal of the equivalent of one pair of socks each month. But yeah, if I could get ahead of the game slightly again and finish these and have my little cast on party in the next week, that would be amazing. So yeah, time will tell, and I guess you will find out right now, because the video will continue. Hey lovely friends, a week has passed since I last checked in for this vlog. Have I cast on my second Into the Woods socks? Have I? Heck is like. And this is the best example of why, when I finish a first sock, I need to immediately start a second sock, because I just procrastinate otherwise. I literally could have finished that second sock in the last week if only it had been on the needles and I didn't have the excuse to not pick it up because I couldn't be bothered to cast it on. As you know, my intention was to cast on the 2 new pairs of socks once I finished all 3 pairs that I've been working on for this vlog. However, I have come to realise that if I don't get my 2 new pairs cast on this weekend, I won't get them cast on before the end of June at all. There are 2 weekends left in June as I'm recording this. However, next weekend we are going to 2 concerts. You know, James and I barely do anything. We're quite quiet homebodies, as you probably realised if you've watched this channel for any length of time. We don't get up to too many exciting adventures. might go out for dinner once in a while, or, you know, we take ourselves away for a few days, although not very far because we have the cats to consider. And we certainly have gotten out of the habit of doing anything too adventurous or fun the last few years while we've had loads of family stuff going on. But yeah, my favourite band and James's favourite band are coming to Cardiff this summer, and they are coming one day after the other. So next Saturday and next Sunday we are going to 2 gigs, which, as an almost 50-year-old woman, I don't know how I'm going to handle that, you know. 2 late nights in a row, 2 lots of loud music. Oh dear, I'm too old for this, too old, making me tired just thinking about it. It will be fun, I jest. Anyway, so casting on next weekend is probably not going to happen, so I figure I need to cast on these 2 new pairs of socks this weekend, so that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, slightly out of order, but yeah, I will get these 2 cast on, and then I will definitely cast on that second Into the Woods socks. So I just thought I'd quickly share with you my yarn picks. I've already shown you the patterns. So for the Celestite socks from Pom Pom, which I'll just show you a little bit of a reminder, I need 3 colours of yarn, and I have decided to make these for my giveaway pile. I'm making socks this year to send at the end of the year to Flower Power Fund, and they asked for predominantly yellow theme socks. So I have this skein of Coop Knits socks. Yeah, it's a 50-gram skein that I recently bought on D-Stash with the intent to use it for my Flower Power Fund socks. So I'm going to be using that as my main colour. I've got this leftover green yarn. This is an onion nettle blend sock yarn, and that's going to be my heels, toes and cuffs. And then my contrast colour for the main body of the sock is going to be just this white that I have in my leftovers basket. I'm hoping this will be enough for heels, toes and cuffs. I've got 19 grams, so we shall see, I shall make it work. If you have watched my sock vlogs for these 12 patterned socks, you'll know that I've got into a little habit where I try to put on a movie and work on my cast on for the duration of that movie, and I try to kind of like theme the movie around the sock. I have no idea what theme I can use for the Celestite socks. I need to read the blurb again and see what it's inspired by. Oh, okay. Sky blue Celestite crystals are said to possess angelic properties, helpful for sharing a moment with something celestial, for aiding the formation of astral dreams, for expanding creativity and for opening heart space. They release stagnant emotions, create a space of love. Okay, interesting. So maybe I could find a movie that features an angel, or maybe just a romance movie for the love thing. I'll have a little think on that. Okay, that's given me some ideas, so I shall come up with some kind of film to cast those on, and I probably do that either this afternoon or tomorrow. It's a Friday as I'm recording this, probably tomorrow. I think I'm going out this afternoon. And then for my Kinu socks, which is from the Traditions Revisited, that is the sock as shown. I'm kind of hoping these might be for me, but I think it's going to depend on the fit with those braids around the cuff of the sock. But again, recently on D-Stash I purchased a bunch of like solid colour yarns like this Coop Knits, for mainly for heels, toes and cuffs, or for pattern socks, as for, you know, future cast-ons for this vlog potentially. But also I found a seller who had a bunch of Knit Picks Stroll in solid colours, but they also had several skeins of the Knit Picks Stroll Tweed. And these, I don't know, there's something really sort of like cosy and traditional about tweed for me. So I figured, as I'm knitting this kind of like traditional type or tradition inspired pattern, I would go for these yarns. So the blue is going to be my main colour, and then the brown is going to be my contrast. So yes, and I'm going to try, I think, for my movie to find something that's maybe filmed in Estonia, or part filmed in Estonia, or set in Estonia. We shall see. I'll have a look around on my streaming services and see what I can find that might fit the bill, might be available here. When I had a look the other day, there were lots of like Finnish films that were filmed in Estonia, but none of them were really available over here. So yeah, it might be a little bit of a struggle. I found a couple of possibilities, it just depends. But of course I will share with you what I watch when I get to Cast On. So yeah, hopefully these 2 pairs of socks are going on the needles this weekend.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Oh, dreamy, breezy, we go easy, easy on our tiptoes undercover.
Okay, lovely friends, so the Celestite socks are cast on. It's been actually a couple of weeks since I cast them on, and I can't remember the name of the movie that I watched. Oh, so much for trying to edit this in an order that makes sense. Anyway, it was a Keanu Reeves movie. He was an angel, tried to do some good, managed to mess things up, swapped around a couple of lives and shenanigans ensued. It was watchable but not particularly memorable. So yeah, there's that. I ended up switching gears on my colour choice for the Celestite socks. You might have just seen a clip of me working on those socks while I was watching the movie, and originally I'd picked out white as the second contrast colour for the socks. After I did the first pattern repeat, I didn't really like how stark the white looked against the other colours that I'd picked, and I find that often with a sort of pure white colour, I often find it quite harsh, quite stark. So I decided that I wasn't going to be happy if I continued working with that colour, even though these socks are going to be socks that I give away. You've still got to enjoy making them, right? So I ended up during the course of that movie actually ripping back, and I have popped in instead some leftover yellow, a contrast yellowy colour. So this was from some previous socks that I made earlier this year as part of 12 Cozy Toes make along, and I managed to get the first sort of colourwork pattern repeat reknit in the time that I was watching the movie. So a much lighter contrast. I think it's slightly brighter in real life than it's showing on camera, but I'm much happier with how that looks. So yes, Celestite are cast on, progress has been made, and I am sure, look forward to coming back to these when I next get to work on them. It's fun to have those on the needles, pattern picked, yarn all ready to go, and I'm just keeping those in a project bag that I made myself eons ago. So back to me of the past, where I cast on the second pair of socks, the socks from the Traditions Revisited book. So I shall be back in a second to let you know how I got on with those.
Agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. Hand in hand, building castles out of sand, reaching for the grand. As willows align, we lose track of time.
second pair of socks that I cast on in that weekend a couple of weeks ago were the Keanu socks. And again, I can't remember the name of the movie that I watched. Terrible, isn't it? Oh, serves me right for not making the time or finding the time to record these little follow-up segments. It was an interesting movie. It was quite hard-hitting about a young teenager who gets involved in selling drugs and stuff. So not an easy watch for sure. It was also, I think, a Finnish film. It was subtitled. So I know there are quite a few folks who can't get on with like subtitled films. So yeah, I don't think I could recommend that film to a lot of people just in terms of the subject matter and stuff. But check it out if you think it might be interesting to you, of course. Once again, I changed tack with the socks. I initially cast on using the brown yarn, as I wanted that to be my contrast colour. So I have one ball of that, whereas I've got two balls of the blue. But then as I was sat there thinking about it, I decided I actually wanted the majority of the sock to be in the brown. So I'm taking a chance, given that I've not ever knit with this Knit Picks Stroll Tweed before. 230 yards in 50 grams, so it should be enough, given that the leg of the sock is done in alternating colours. I should have enough, I hope, to finish a pair of socks for me, with the brown being the main colour. But anyway, I ripped out my initial cast on again in the blue, and this is as far as I got while I was watching the movie. And I've really enjoyed knitting this. I really love making the little braids, and alternating that with a little bit of colour work was really fun. I'm very much looking forward to getting back to these socks. The yarn is nice and soft, although that's not always a good thing for me for socks. That can be quite hard wearing on my socks, but it's very nice to knit with. And yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy the coziness of the pattern and the tweed yarn. The movie that I picked wasn't particularly cosy. That's the thing that didn't really fit in with my cosy theme for this project. But yeah, I'm keeping those in this beautiful bag from Emma of Eldon Woodcraft. All that remains now is for me to get on and finish the final pair of socks for this vlog, which are the Under the Tree, I think, by Joji Locatelli, the double knit pair of socks. So hopefully I shall be back soon to wrap up this video and share with you the third and final pair of socks.
As we go, I wouldn't want it any other way, no. Dreamy, breezy, we go.
Hey lovely friends, it's time to wrap this video up. I've been wiggling around in this little corner to try and find the best angle for making sure there's not too much like window glare on my glasses, but there just isn't one today, so I'm afraid we just have to go with it. We've had lots of sunny days here in South Wales this summer, which in some ways has been lovely, but a lot of the days have just been too hot. We've had several heat waves, which I'm not a fan of. But we just have to roll with it, don't we? There's nothing we can do. Anyway, I'm not here to waffle about the weather, I'm here to waffle about socks. I have the 3 finished pairs of socks to share with you from this video. So first off, the first pair of socks I managed to get done were the intersection socks. Oh my goodness, the light is really blowing out now, isn't it? Let me just close one of the blinds and see if I can do something about that. Oh, I'm sorry, the lighting today is terrible. I've closed one of the blinds, but the sun keeps going in and out, so 1 minute on my camera screen the light's really blown out and the next it gets very dark. So I hope, point in question, I hope that we can just do our best to deal with it for the end of this video, because I really need to get this done. It's already been far too long and I've got, as always, a very hectic week this week, and today is the day I've got for video filming, so we have to go with it. Right, intersection socks, which is the first project that I cast on for this 12 sock extravaganza back on Christmas Eve. And this is the, I keep giggling because I keep catching a glimpse of the light changing and fading. Oh my goodness, should I just soldier on? I'm in two minds. I'm just going to do it. So yes, intersection socks, Marceline Smith. This was the first sock that I cast on for the 12 sock project for 12 cast-ons this year. I picked it from the 52 Weeks of Sock Knitting book, the first volume, and it's the first pattern in that volume, and I used some West Yorkshire Spinners yarn for my version of the intersections. Here they are. It's a lovely cabley pattern, and these were really fun to knit. Once I got into it, just really enjoyed working on these. Toe up sock, which is a little bit more unusual for me, and I ended up working the socks on a 2.5mm needle because I knew that the cables would scrunch the fabric in a little bit and make it slightly tighter fitting. So I cast on using 2.25mm needles. I also cast off using 2.25mm needles, which is my usual, and then the body of the sock 2.5mm needles, and that seems to have given me just enough wiggle room for these socks to fit quite nicely. They are a little bit tight to squeeze on and off over my heel, but usually with these types of sock yarns they do sort of loosen up and stretch a little bit over time, I found. So as long as I can get them on and off and they feel quite comfortable when they're on, then I'm fairly sure that, as I say, over time they will loosen up a little bit anyway. I do of course have two socks. The other one I have not put on the blocker. I thought it might be fun to show you the lovely sort of cabley pattern off of the blocker. Hopefully the camera will focus in on that. There we go. If you've been following along with my sock knitting adventures this year, you'll know that for every pair of 4-ply socks that I finish, I'm also knitting a corresponding little mini jumper. So I've got my intersections mini jumper knit as well from that yarn, and these ones are going to now go into my sock drawer and hopefully be worn and enjoyed now that I've shown them off. Next up are Home Is Where You Park It, a lovely pattern by Charlotte Stone from the Joyful Colourwork Socks book. I have put one of these on a blocker, but I bought some new sock blockers in Wonderwall this year, back in April, and they're a little bit thinner than the old ones that I had, and this pattern, I'll show you the one that's not on the sock blocker. It looks kind of funny as it is because there's quite a balloon shape to this where the colour work is on more stitches and on a bigger needle, and then the foot is done in a ribbing, so it's almost got this kind of like puffy effect. So it looks quite strange on the sock blocker just because of how I blocked them flat. So yeah, it doesn't look at its best on the blocker. It's quite a weird shape, but as you can see, I did my camper vans in 2 different colours. I was using up some scraps from my scrap box that were part of the challenge that I'm doing for another one of my 12 cast-ons. So I've got some yellow camper vans on one sock and some orange camper vans on the other sock. I really enjoyed knitting these. I used some yarn from Flourish Fibres, the lovely Fiona, who's not currently dyeing at the moment. This was such a beautiful plump sock yarn, almost kind of like verging on a sport weight, I would say. So it's made for some very squishy, nice thick kind of cozy socks, and I'm sure these are going to be lovely to wear in the winter. I enjoyed lots of different aspects of this pattern, including the sort of heel detail, which carried the sort of rib effect down into the heel, but with the slip stitches it gave a slightly different texture, and I just really enjoy little details like that. And when I'm knitting socks, I've knit probably several hundred pairs of socks at this point, let's be honest. Maybe not quite, but yeah, getting on for a couple of hundred, I would have thought. The sort of recipe for a sock is very familiar to me, and it's always fun to have like little details and things that capture your attention after having knit so many socks. So yes, I thoroughly enjoyed knitting those, and again these ones are going to go into my wardrobe to wear in the winter. And of course I did do a corresponding mini jumper with a little camper van on as well for my little sweater garland at the end of the year. So yeah, that was fun. And last but by no means least are the double knit socks that were the most recent finish for this vlog. The Under the Tree, I want to say, although I know I keep getting the pattern name wrong. I should probably look it up so at least I get it right this one last time. Under the Tree by Joji Locatelli from the Interpretations Volume 8. The pattern was originally published, and so I have finished these as well. Some more cable-y goodness. I'll show you this one flat as well because it shows off the lovely XO cable pattern a little bit better when it's not on the blocker. Now, I think I reported earlier in this video that these are not my best work, particularly on the first sock. There are a few little errors and inconsistencies. I was originally going to give these ones away, but I think because I made quite a few errors, I'm also going to keep these, which, yeah, 3 new pairs of socks. My sock drawer is already overflowing, but I don't have too many pairs of double knit socks, so sort of like slightly thicker, squishier, cozier socks. So I'm sure I will get plenty of wear out of these. And I did originally pick orange, of course, because that's my favourite colour. So in the back of my mind, I thought I might keep these. But then as I was knitting them, my thoughts turned to giving them away instead. But then because of all of the silly little mistakes that I've made, I am going to keep them, I think. There is no corresponding mini jumper to go with the Under the Tree socks. I am knitting mini jumpers for all of the 4-ply pairs of socks that I finished this year. And of course this pair of socks were double knit socks. Another pair of lovely socks finished. And that brings part 2 of this little series of vlogs to the end. I'm halfway through my little challenge of 12 pattern socks picked randomly from my pattern books. It is August as I'm recording this wrap up. However, I did in fact finish these socks before the end of June, which means that at that point in June I was still on schedule for finishing 1 pair of socks each month. Quarter 3 of this challenge has not started so well. In theory, I should be a pair and a bit into the 3rd lot of my 3 pairs. Have I finished any of them? No. Am I close to finishing any of them? Not really. So I need to up my game and knit faster if I want to catch back up with this little challenge. Not sure how that's going to go, given that during this month of August I'm mostly casting on new things. Oh dear, why do I do this to myself? Because it's fun and I enjoy it. But of course I will share with you how my little challenge goes in part 3 of this video, which will come in a couple of months' time, and hopefully at some point I'll be able to catch up with myself and get some more socks for this challenge finished. Maybe even one of the pairs that I just cast on, we shall see. Anyway, just waffling now, this video is way past long enough already. Let me know in the comments below whether you have been knitting socks recently. Have you found any new favourite sock knitting patterns? Any new favourite sock yarns? Let me know all of the sock chat under the video. If you're not a sock knitter, then just let me know what you have been working on while you've been watching the video perhaps. I love to hear from you, be inspired by all of your lovely making. I will of course be back again soon with some more making content, so I hope you will join me for the next video. Until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some other things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.